Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this panel of diversity and innovation, and to hear from the perspective from the Pan-African Scientific Research Council. I welcome every one of you. Make sure you're watching this panel in the theater mode from your screen. My name is Urban Wayemi. I am an assistant professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm a CPRI scholar in cancer biology, and I was born and raised in West Africa in Benin. I received my master and PhD in molecular bioscience from the University of Paris-Saclay in France, and I then trained as a postdoc at the National Cancer Institute at the NIH, USA, and as a postdoc in neuroscience at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. I am currently leading a research lab here at UT Austin, which consists of 10 scientists, including 4 PhD students. In 2019, we received about 2 million grants to study cancer prevention and cancer and targeted therapy in cancer. So I'm very glad to be here to moderate this panel and to share our perspective from the Pan-African Scientific Research Council. As you all know, COVID-19 pandemic has revealed the stark need for African institutions of higher education that can efficiently generate and transmit knowledge in the time of crisis. Now more than ever, scientists and social scientists across the globe, and especially African scientists, must come together to generate policy-relevant research. To fill that vital need, African researchers have formed what is called now the Pan-African Scientific Research Council, on the premise that research is not a luxury, but rather a survival strategy. Let's start with our keynote speaker, Professor Leonard Wantchekon from Princeton. Professor Wantchekon embodies well the Black excellence in US and the excellence of African diaspora. He is a professor of politics and international affairs at Princeton University, as well as associate faculty in economics. He was born and raised in Benin, West Africa. He received his PhD in economics from Northwestern University. He taught at Yale, NYU, and now at Princeton. Given his outstanding achievement and studied related to clientelism, state capture, democratization, he became the first Black African scholar to be inducted as a fellow of the American Academy of Art and Science. He is also a fellow of the Econometric Society and a member of the executive committee of the International Economic Association. From my understanding, he is probably the most vocal advocate for Black excellence and for a successful and prosperous Africa. To translate his word into actions, Professor Wantchekon has founded the African School of Economics, which opened in Benin in 2004, and now in Cote d'Ivoire and here in the US. In pursuit of his visions for a better and brilliant and prosperous Africa, Professor Wantchekon recently initiated this Pan-African Scientific Research Council, which is now becoming a hub for talented African scientists and scholars across the globe and across disciplines. Today, Professor Wantchekon will shed light on the importance of academic and social entrepreneurship in Africa, with a special focus on development of research institutions in Africa. He will also share his vision and his experience with establishing the African School of Economics. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce him to this panel. Please join me in welcoming Professor Leonard Wantchekon of Princeton.
Thanks so much, Professor Iben Wayemi, for your very, very generous introduction. And the African School of Economics I'm going to be talking about is created in 2014. And it's part of the vision, part of the model of social entrepreneurship that I'll be discussing here. So first, I would like to thank the organizer of Engage 2020 for the opportunity to showcase innovation and social entrepreneurship in Africa. So I will start with a short overview of success stories, individual level success stories in Africa. And then later on, I'm going to talk about the states of research and innovation in Africa. And then later on, I will use the example of African School of Economics and the Pan-African Research Council as how we can basically fix some of the issues that I will be raising when talking about the state of innovation in Africa. So first of all, African continent has tremendous talent that have shown that it can lead the way in key areas in science and technology globally. For instance, you have the revolutionary technological advances such as mobile money, which was set up for the first time in Kenya through M-Pesa. For another example is the fact that the first open heart surgery was performed in South Africa in 1967 by Dr. Chris Bernard. And currently, there is a revolution, in experimental social science. And one of the hotspots of this revolution is West Africa, particularly Benin. So, and besides that, Africa has produced some inspiring, high caliber social scientists who are the testament of the potential that Africa can hold. For instance, we have Professor Aji Busso Dieng, who just joined Princeton University as the first Black female faculty, who has done cutting edge work in artificial intelligence. So we have Bertrand Naum, who is based in France, who is considered one of the top innovators for the last 20 years. And his area is in robotics. And Fune Olopade from University of Chicago is a world-renowned cancer expert, especially in risk assessment. So those are just few examples. But I mean, the colleagues who will be presenting today are also important illustration of the individual talent and individual achievement, I should say, that Africa holds. And yet, at the aggregate, the continent is lagging, in science and innovation. A study done in 2007 showed that Africa has only 164 researchers per million against more than 1,000 at the world average. And in terms of cutting edge research contribution to the global research landscape, only 1.1% come from Africa. This does not mean that there are not research being done on Africa. But unfortunately, it's done by and large by non-Africans. For instance, Ebola research, HIV research, and malaria genetics research are done in California, in Oxford, in Zurich, and elsewhere, as opposed to Mali, Sierra Leone, and South Africa. In economics, a study have shown that there were 141 top 5 publications, for the past 20 years, and only 5 of those publications have African co-authors, And so there is an issue of not only the contribution of Africa as a continent in general to the global body of knowledge, but also when research is done on Africa, the representation of Africa is also an issue. So why this is the case? It's the case for at least 3 reasons. So first is basically the extractive research culture. So in fact, there are opportunities there are collaboration between Western-based scholars and African scholars, but those partnerships tend to be unequal, where Africans provide data or information for research being done elsewhere, So I'm not saying this is the case for every single project, but this is the most dominant paradigm. The second is the fact that we have too few major research universities. and the government funding is limited. For instance, only 0.45% of government budget in Africa is dedicated to R&D, you know. So this is far below a recommendation for from Abdul Salam, Nobel Prize in Physics from Pakistan, who is a great advocate for research in developing countries, that set the contribution of government to research to be at least 5%. You know, so there are a lot of initiatives, you know, private universities across the continent, but it's fair to say that they are mostly vocational, mostly training, not about research per se, you know. So it's a huge missed opportunity, you know, because first of all, local knowledge production is cost effective because the solution is close to the problem, you know. And also, you know, for instance, if there is an outbreak of a disease in, let's say, northern Congo, you like, for instance, that the research pertaining to this disease is done close to the place where the outbreak is taking place, you know. So, it's more cost effective, and the right priorities are being addressed, and also more inclusive, you know, because you have locals, you know, being involved. But more importantly, having research university in Africa, research production from Africa will be a huge contribution to global knowledge, you know. So I know that stakeholders across the continent, especially African Union and regional organizations, have recognized the importance of investment in knowledge production in science and technology and innovation. And my colleague, Dr. Beatrice Njenga, will be talking about that more specifically in her concluding remark. So it's really critical that we set up as a top priority an agenda for research universities on the continent. And this is an important, this will be an important you know, initiative for the present, but also for the future, because it will provide research opportunities for young Africans to enhance their technical training on the continent. But not knowing, because governments are limited and have other priorities than higher education and innovation, what I'm going to argue is that academics themselves have to embrace social entrepreneurship and be directly involved in the setting up of institutions for higher education and knowledge production. So it's not enough for us to publish. It's important that we set up institutions, labs, research centers, even universities, you know, to be able to communicate, to develop, to expand this knowledge in a very, very effective way. Now, but then to do that, there are limitations. You know, for instance, we only have we have a relatively small pool of scientists. So as a result, it's important that this research is not only Pan-African, so that we don't fragment our limited resources, that it's multidisciplinary, so that, you know, all scientists can work together and collaborate. And so that's very important. That we also develop international partnerships, which, you know, partnerships of a different kind, partnership, you know, that truly collaborative, you know. So, and I think this could be also an important way to be able to generate resources independently from government and do research. And I think all this is very present in the setting up of the African School of Economics. So first of all, African School of Economics is very Pan-African. So we have cumulatively, over the past 5 years, students from more than 17 countries. We even have a student coming from the US and Mexico. So, and we have robust partnerships with US, Canadian, and European universities that help us to place our top students in top PhD program. And more, as importantly, we also have about 5 research institutes in a variety of fields, like empirical research, finance and management, and computer science, and African studies, but also biotech and agricultural science. And as I mentioned earlier, to promote interdisciplinarity, what we did is the setting up of a Pan-African Research Council, which will be a platform for collaboration between scientists across discipline. In the future, we want to expand this model. We are considering our achievements so far just as a proof of concept. So hopefully, we are going to expand this through partnership with other African universities, and then scale up, what we are currently doing. And we also want to continue grow the Pan-African Research Council to become an incubator for African talent in science and technology. So in conclusion, what I've shown is that we have proven individual talent, of world-class individual talent. We need to leverage this individual talent through social entrepreneurship to create world-class research universities and labs in Africa. And the second point that I developed is the fact that we want the Pan-African Research Council to serve as a platform to achieve this goal through interdisciplinary collaboration and public engagement. Thank you very much.